To understand what the enterprise service bus is all about, we have to understand a little bit about the evolutionary aspects and the roots of where the enterprise service bus basically was coming from. So we think about some of our earlier implementation, we think about our customer management types of systems, if we think about our ERP types of applications that we've had in the past, financial based systems, and we think about how we had those particular pieces implemented in our legacy systems and our legacy aspects of things. That was generally, we go back far enough, that's kind of the environment that we had for a vast majority of time. And what we needed to do here is we needed to manage the routing of requests between these different systems, between these different application systems. So what we came up with, and what was basically being deployed back in the early 90s, was this concept of a message bus. And the message buses were proprietary. So different vendors were coming up with their own proprietary messaging environments. IBM had their MQ series, Microsoft had its MSMQ, and a variety of other vendors were out there. And you created this proprietary system that you were able to link into. So you had an API that you wrote, and through that particular API we gained access to this vendor-driven proprietary messaging bus system, which was fun. It did exactly what we wanted to do. We could take our messages and route them to a variety of different applications. We didn't have to worry about the languaging aspects. All we had to do was put it into a particular queue in a particular structure, and the application would basically pick it up. The problem with this particular implementation, of course, is it's vendor specific. So if I wanted to make any kind of adjustments, I wanted to make changes, then it caused me to go into my program to make those kinds of modifications. So what we needed was something that would allow us to more universally create messages that were not linked directly to the proprietary system. This is this web services descriptive language concept that we've been talking about, where now using XML we can describe the interfaces that we might have to things like a messaging system. So the WSDL concept gives us a way to create a neutral way to describe information systems. Now once we got to this particular point, what we needed was a new layer on top of the proprietary messaging system, and that's where Java Messaging Services, or JMS, basically came into play. So JMS was the insulating piece that was built into the Java language to sit on top of the proprietary messaging environment, and through that particular environment now we can gain access to the messaging world. And now what we needed is a new type of a messaging structure, something that was not geared specifically towards the vendor's proprietary system, and that's where Simple Object Access Protocol came from. So another XML derivative type here, another kind of an XML formatted message that we're using here. So the WSDL is the descriptor piece, describes what kind of service we're going to be accessing. So our legacy systems, we could do this with portal-based applications, other programming environments like a .NET system we could do. We could tie into other application systems from other vendors or suppliers in a business-to-business type of a concept. So as we got to this particular point in time, we began to see this need for controlling the routing of messages from one endpoint to another. So we had in place here the insulating aspects of JMS to insulate us from having to know and understand the physical proprietary information of the messaging structure from the vendor, and we had a new messaging type here called Simple Object Access Protocol to do the delivery. What we needed now was something to actually manage the routing, and that's where the ESB is going to come from.